Anyway, we're on the pod now.
Good to go.
Yeah, good to go. How are you, Val?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I haven't played a game of chess for probably 40 years.
Oh my God.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
26. So, yeah, nearly sort of getting towards twice your age since I played a game of chess.
Yeah, that's pretty hectic. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, my goodness. Well, it's good to have you on. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks, mate.
This is episode 12. Yeah. 12, I believe, of the Chess with Josh podcast, episode 12, Chess with Josh with Val. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you on.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, we were just listening to some Johnny Cash. Was that like an artist you grew up with? Like
yeah, it was. Yeah, my brother was a muso, and he was heavy into the blues. You know, sort of. He started off. Well, he was really keen on the Animals and the Rolling Stones when that sort of kicked off. Yeah. And then he got into the harmonica, and he was really big on the harmonica music. So he was into Muddy Waters and Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it used to drive me nuts standing the other end of the house playing harmonica. He ended up probably one of Australia's best harmonica players ever. Yeah,
yeah, cool.
And sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago. But he'd be down one end of the house playing blues, and I'd be the other end of the house playing country music. You know, so
yeah,
you know, so yeah.
How many brothers did you have?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Cool. And then so he went down muso artistic pathway.
Yeah.
And then you've gone into the police force.
Well, not initially. Not initially. I did a number of other things. I started off as a trainee wool classer, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, just you sort of looking at the different grades of wool.
Oh yeah.
And working out what qualities they were. I never got that stage. I left school at 15. Yeah. And I started off doing that as an apprenticeship, but it was extremely hard work and very poor money. And all I was chasing was the dollar as a young fella. I wanted some money. Yeah. So I sort of went out sort of chasing other work and took on labouring jobs and all sorts of things.
What was your first paycheck?
My first paycheck, I can't remember, but it was pounds, shillings and pence. Yeah. So it would have been probably, I don't know, the equivalent of about $8 or something like that. I can't remember. You know. Yeah. I know. When I first went to work, I realised I was better off at school. Yeah. Because I was spending equivalent of $3. Yeah. On a train ticket for the week. Yeah. And about $3 on food. Yeah. And didn't leave much left. Yeah. So I was chasing different jobs for get more money. I just kept having different jobs working. I was brick cleaning at the weekends, cleaning bricks on houses with acid.
Yeah, okay. And I hope you had some gloves.
Yeah, but it used to get under the gloves. I still got some of the acid burns.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But so that was.
Do you reckon this is probably a question we could get into in the pod anyway? But you reckon times were harder in your time growing up or now for kids growing up?
Well, you got to put things into perspective. It depends what you're looking at. You know?
Because that sounds hard to me. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's like most of your money was going to food and the train for working anyway. So on the weekends, you have to clean bricks with acid. It's like, you know what I mean? A kid growing up today might not be doing that.
But you had coin in your pocket,
That's true,
and that was sort of, you had a little bit of coin in your pocket and you felt good about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the weekends, I was with my mates and we used to go rabbiting and fishing down the river. Yeah. Down in Maribyrnong at St Albans. Yeah. Back at St Albans, we could fish down the river. You could drink the river, drink the water and swim in it and catch fish in it. And, we had a great life. And Friday nights and Saturday nights we'd go to dances or go to, live music. Yeah. So the bands that you would see now or hear now on Spotify, we saw them all live. Mm. So, and... we had a good time, So it was a great life. It was hard work, but we didn't worry about it. We walked everywhere, or maybe 1 in 10 or 20 kids that have a car, maybe. Yeah.
Were you a teenager during the was it during the 70s or the 80s or 60s?
By the 70s, I was 20 in 1970.
Yeah.
So I was born in 1950.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the 60s, I was a teenager. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Literally, as the Beatles and Johnny Cash were sort of
Elvis
doing
and Johnny O'Keefe and Chuck Berry and all those sort of guys. Well, they were 50s, but their music was still, top of the pops when I was a young bloke.
Yeah.
I used to have a crystal set. I had a crystal set. You remember them?
No.
Crystal set was I don't know how to explain it, but it was basically, I really don't know how to explain it, but it didn't have batteries, didn't have anything. It just worked on a crystal, which was the power source. And I used to hook it up to the guttering outside my bedroom window and run it and lie in bed with this and just move the aerial to get the radio. And I could sit there, lie in bed when I was a kid, 12, 13, 14, and listen to all that sort of music.
Yeah.
But no power source. The power source was the thing itself. It just worked on some sort of magic science,
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I can't imagine. It's like every now and then I listen to the radio now, but so often it's like because it's just always paired with visual, and you got like little 3-second clips, so that's very cool. Tell you what, this is the first episode I've been happy with all the episodes, but this is the first episode I've been pretty excited to do.
Why is that?
Just because it's like, even like with some of the people who listen back home in Queensland, they're always like, "Oh, Josh, your guests are very, very young. They don't have like a lot of perspective on things." And it's like I feel like this is the first time I'm talking to someone who knows, has seen a bit, who knows a bit of life. So like, I don't know, it's cool. You know what I mean? But
old carcass, mate, but I'm young at heart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I can feel that too. Yeah, I mean, you just went on that trip to Africa and Ireland as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you're going lots of places. So we should start the chess part if you're happy to do so. So yeah, just to sort of re-explain the thing, we've got 10 minutes each side, and we make our moves, and you can ask your opponent questions to distract them from what they're doing. So it's kind of like playing chess, but you get that little playing chess in the brain as well.
Do you follow AFL?
Yeah, a little bit.
You're a Melbourne supporter or Essendon?
So because I'm from Queensland, I go for the Lions.
Okay.
But then my adopted team down here is the Hawthorn Hawks. What about you?
I was I don't really follow the AFL much, but I was a Bulldog supporter, being out in the West, because I was brought up out in the western suburbs.
Yeah, cool.
But the reason I ask is I see we got sort of black and red mics.
Yeah, true. So I'm the Demons, and then, or is this Essendon colours?
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I followed the NRL. Queensland is sort of like big NRL country, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're happy to begin.
Yep.
We'll do the shake your hand.
There you go, mate. Yeah. No worries.
Yeah. You'll move first.
All
you're
right.
playing white. And I won't ask a question straight away because we'll get into it first. Did you play a sport growing up?
Did I play a sport?
Yeah.
I was a runner.
Runner? Like long distance or?
Yeah, middle distance.
Yeah.
Like this one?
That one on your side. And we're off.
What about you? Did you play sport?
I played a bit of touch footy, and a bit of like NRL, rugby league footy as well. But I think when I was about 14, my mum pulled me out of it. And
Why is that?
Because of the head knocks, and also the some of the Islander players at 14 years old were like
big guys.
They were huge, and I think she just got scared that I was going to like get concussed or something.
Yeah.
And I was upset about it at the time, but looking back, it was probably a good piece of parenting she did.
Yeah. What about knees and things like that? Did you get a lot of?
Oh yeah, I mean, my dad was good at footy when he was a kid, and then I think his knees was like that was the problem. Like like he started to get injured and it was bad. But it's sort of like a thing of. I think if I had have had some unbelievable talent, you know, like that was just like, oh, look at that kid go. You know, it would have been like, okay, let's keep him in the game and let's pray he doesn't get injured. But I think they could sort of tell that I was probably a bit more suited to playing a bit of chess and, you know, stuff like that. Like footy wasn't exactly my scene, but I gave it a red hot crack. Yeah. So you did, what sort of running? Did you do marathons?
No, mile.
Mile.
Mile was my main one.
Mm. And click that bad boy. Yeah. When did they convert to kilometres?
I can't remember kilometres, but 14th of February 1966 was the conversion to decimal currency.
Oh my God. Yeah. Was that annoying at the time? It's like, mate, I learned all this.
Oh, I can't remember whether it was annoying.
Yeah.
It really, I don't recall it was any.
My dad would get upset because he'd be like, they changed maths. Like one used to be a prime number and now it's not, or something. Pluto was a planet, now it's not.
Oh, okay.
They're always changing what they're teaching. I guess that's a little bit like life.
Yeah.
So wait, at what point then did you decide that you wanted to be in the police force?
That's a very good question. I was actually in the Air Force at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you went to the Air Force first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Air Force is another story, but I was in the Air Force and I was tied up with computers, which is another story, which I didn't want to do. But I wanted to change the job I had in the Air Force, and I wanted to be a helicopter crewman with the operating the machine guns on the helicopters.
Yeah.
And I was young, I just want to hang out at the side of helicopters shooting stuff, And they told me I couldn't remuster to a lower rank. To a lower pay level.
Yeah.
It was just rules that
just
they
the way
had.
it went.
Just the way it went. They said you can either be an Air Force policeman, which was a higher rank, which gave me equivalent pay level, or a PDI, which is a physical training instructor, which was also a higher rank, which gave me equal pay to what I was getting in the computer area. So I didn't particularly want to sort of bounce around a gymnasium with a whistle. So I thought I'll have a go at this police thing.
Yeah.
So I did 3 years of that.
Yeah.
And then that sort of pushed me into the area of policing. So when I got out of the Air Force, I did 6 years in the Air Force, and then 3 years of it, which was with the police. And then I went into the Commonwealth Police, the old Commonwealth Police Service, and I did 6 months of that, and I was bored.
Yeah.
Absolutely bored.
Why were you bored?
Bored shitless.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it was asset protection, sort of looking after buildings and high security areas and stuff. And so I joined the Victoria. I'd actually applied for both. I'd applied for Victoria Police and the Commonwealth Police.
Yeah.
But I applied for the Commonwealth Police. I can't remember how it worked, but the Commonwealth Police came in. I got accepted for the Commonwealth Police, and then the Victoria Police sort of said, come in for your sort of medicals and stuff. But I had already got the job with the Commonwealth Police. I was married at the time and I had 2 kids. Yeah. Or 1 child at the time, I think. I had 1. Yeah. And I sort of thought I can't risk that. I needed the job, Yeah. So I took the Commonwealth Police. I did it for 6 months. I thought, no, this is not right. So then I reapplied for Victoria Police and got into the Victoria Police, and that was history.
Wow. Yeah, that's where you stayed.
Yeah, I did nearly 40 years.
Yeah.
So.
My God, yeah.
There you go. That's how it works.
It's kind of crazy thinking about, like, I guess, how a career or how a journey starts, because it's sort of like these random events. It's like you pick the Air Force Police just because the other job sounds kind of shit. You know what I mean? So we'll give this one a go because that's better. And you actually wanted to be the machine, but it just didn't work that. Like life sort of has this weird way of lining things up.
Yeah, so like it's sort of random. It's a chance, Like where would you be if you didn't take that one step?
Yeah.
that one step off the footpath. Or turn a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It sort of sets your path in a certain direction, which is it causes a domino effect right across, for the rest of your life.
Well, if you had gotten into being a machine gunner on a helicopter, was that around the same time as Vietnam?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like that could have been a very different sort of storyline.
Well, it would have been. It would have been a totally different storyline.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
That was 68. 68 I went into the Air Force, January 68. So, and I got out in 74, so that was, I would have said if I'd have, well, that was 70, 71, 72, so I would have probably had at least one tour of duty of Vietnam if I'd have got into as a gunner.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. So, but the Air Force gave me what they call an A-grade posting to Malaya, or Malaysia, in 73, I think it was. And I was my term of enlistment was due to expire in 74. I had 15 months to go. And what we called that was a bribe posting. So it was basically, I said, okay, I'll take it. I'll go to Malaysia for 15 months.
Yeah.
And that was as Air Force police. I was an Air Force police officer. And they said, no, you've got to sign on for 3 years, which would mean would have done another 3 years on top of the 15 months. And that's what they're trying to do, is to get you to stay in for the rest of your, like, do 20, 30 years, make a career out of it. And I said, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rest is history.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah.
Got to be able to smell a bad deal when you see it.
Well,
it could have been a good deal for someone. But.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And it may have worked out. It would have changed my life completely.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be sitting here because I wouldn't have known you.
Yeah, that's true.
You wouldn't know Jimmy, and we wouldn't have met
Jimmy
him.
might not exist.
We wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned. Val is Jimmy's dad. Yeah, which is exactly, that's how we know each other.
That's right.
Yeah, did not meet in the police force. No. I'm gonna move this here. Just give me 1 sec. I've got a best mate back home who just recently had a kid. I think he's 26 at the moment, and he's like pursuing acting and stuff. And I've got another mate from high school who's just had a kid. But there's a lot of people in my generation that are pretty, like, I guess, like, scared of having kids, maybe is the word, or like they're just like, or they leave it a lot later, or they're just sort of worried about it. I don't know if I have a question, but it's more just like having, like, why is having kids important, do you reckon? For like in life, like, why do you decide to have kids? Did you always know you were going to have kids? Like, what's the sort of?
You asking me? I think just 1 second. I think the timing's.
Oh, it's running my time down now. You've moved that there, so I'm just gonna.
Why are we on 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes? We should have 10 minutes each move.
So we have 10 minutes total. That's the game. So we ask each other questions to run that time down.
Oh, okay. So it really
and that's
makes
what creates the stress. So when this gets a lot closer to zero, you know what I mean?
Post-traumatic chest stress.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still thinking about your question.
Yeah.
But, okay. All right.
And this is the difficulty of the game.
All right. We got to make a move. Having kids. Well, I mean, there's two parties to having children generally. Yeah, I mean, from a woman's point of view, they've got a great biological clock.
Yeah.
That's ticking there. That's a sort of a natural thing, you know. Yeah. Whereas I suppose from a male's perspective, I mean, we're too busy thinking male thoughts and sort of, you know, for thousands of years we were sort of worrying about sort of, you know, where the next animal was over the horizon as hunters and, you know, sort of hunter-gatherer type things. But I think when you said, you asked me a question earlier on and we were talking about difficulties and challenges now as compared to back when I was a young fella, you know. And I think that you're basically hinting that some of your friends are pausing having children. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, like I think some people are scared to. It's more like what I've realized with my best mate's an actor, and he's had a kid, and he's realized that one, at 26 years old, he's he's still very young, and two, having a kid has not held him back from being able to pursue acting. Like he can still click that time so you don't run your time down. We can actually probably put it over this side so it's easier to reach. But so he, it maybe like puts some limits on what roles he would accept. Like he's not going to accept a national touring role that's going to keep him away from home for 8 months because he's got a newborn. But it's not. It's honestly like probably something that's going to even help his career in a way because it gives him a lot of purpose, a lot of reason, a lot of motivation and things like that. But I think that there's a lot of people who maybe are not anti-kid, but just like there's a bit of a... Apparently the birth rate is declining and things like that.
Yeah.
So people talk about that. I don't know. I was just curious as to like... I guess, yeah, like because you've had multiple kids. Like, why is that a good thing?
But a lot of people don't think like what your friend thinks like.
Yeah.
They put their career first and don't worry about it.
True. Yeah.
Whereas perhaps many years ago they wouldn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people are different. Some people, you know, I mean, it was a different. In many ways, it was different sort of decades ago where the family structure was often different. You know, women, you know, the majority of women stayed at home as mothers.
Yeah.
Because that was the way it was structured.
Yeah.
And that had a different impact on all sorts of things. But yeah, so it's different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's it like catching criminals?
What, now or back then?
I don't know.
Well, I can only talk about sort of...
Because you're in detective work, right? Or like missing persons?
No. Missing persons is what I do now. That's a sort of... it's more of a... I wouldn't say it's a community thing. It tends to sort of make it seem like some sort of... waters are... I shouldn't say waters are down because that's not fair. But it's not like that. It's much more... But it's not a... I don't get paid a lot or don't get paid at all basically for what I do. It's more what I choose to do, you know, because I don't... it's basically a lot of research stuff that I do as far as missing persons is concerned. It's a private thing. But when I was in the police force, a lot of it was... I'm going to take a charge here.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to knock that.
Nah, it's worth it. Why not?
So when I, in the police force, as you can imagine, like nearly 40 years, I wasn't just a detective. So it was a detective plus station commanders and worked in intelligence areas and all sorts of jobs, country, metro, crime squads, you know, uniform, everything. Didn't count those ones up very well, did I? Should have put my glasses on. Wouldn't have made much difference, but anyway.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of the detective work they'd be doing today is like figuring out who the heck has all these machetes.
Well, machetes is an interesting one, actually.
Yeah. I saw on the news the other day that people were just having sword fights in shopping centre.
That's an interesting one too. Interesting observation.
It honestly reminded me of Shakespeare because, like, in Romeo and Juliet, right at the start of the play, they've got the two families that hate each other and they just start sword fighting in the street, and it's like, mate, this is not good. How do we fix this? And what ends up fixing it is the two warring gangs or families.
But I noticed one thing the other day in the shopping centre was that they were having a sword fight in the shopping centre. First question would be, why would you have a sword fight in a shopping centre? You're obviously armed. Yeah. You go to a public place where there's CCTV cameras everywhere and you have a sword fight. Well, why would you do that? And secondly, there was jewellery shops that were
stolen from or damaged.
Yeah, their display cabinets were smashed.
Yeah.
So, what's that about? Is there two parts to that?
Yeah. Oh, so it's like a distraction in a way in order to perform a robbery.
I don't know. I don't have all the details, but is that?
But I get what the line of thought is. It's a good question. Also, it's like maybe if you're going into a shopping center and you know there's CCTV but you don't care, is it because you have like a disregard for the law, or is it because you're not even worried that anything's going to happen to you?
Well, maybe. And is it also enhanced by the fact that you want the notoriety?
Yeah, you want the sort of spectacle. Yeah.
So if you don't care, how do you make them care?
Yeah. Well, I guess the consequences is how you make people care, I suppose.
What are the consequences? So there's all these questions that come out of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. My time is ticking. Yeah, I don't know what would be appropriate. Sort of. I guess you'd have to catch them first, but then, what sort of? Well, it's a weird idea. It's like, okay, we're going to set up these bins. Put your machetes in them, please. I feel like when they sort of confiscated guns in Australia, that was probably that was an easier one because like there's a lot of like reasonable people with guns who probably thought Port Arthur was a lot, and all right, it makes sense that they want to get rid of the guns now. But machetes, like, who's got machetes?
But the two questions come out, or two comments come out of that.
Yeah,
there's more guns now than what there was. From what I understand, there's more guns now post Port Arthur than what there was before.
Really?
And the amount of guns that were.
Yeah. There's a fair chance I lose this. I'm on 11 seconds right now. That's where it gets a little bit tight. Yeah. At this point, it doesn't matter what moves you make because I'm going to lose on time. All right. Well, game one to you. Not too bad.
Thanks, mate.
Not too bad on that.
Yeah, we're talking about the guns. The what happened with the gun buyback. I think there was a time really what we were looking at really was a censorship on the it was a censorship, but basically a stop on the type of firearms that was on the street. If you look at the sort of the match between the type of firearms that the military are using and what the person in the street is using throughout time. If we go back to your flintlocks and muzzle loaders, so the military are using those as weapons, and then the hunters are using them to hunt, and then it goes on to bolt actions and so on and so on. But when you start getting up to fully automatic weapons, then you've got a problem, a real problem. So to put a stop to that, was I think was correct. But what happened was that the buyback system poured the money back into the shooters. And I'm not saying this is a wrong thing. It's fair enough, And what happened was that caused then the knock-on effect was it shut down a lot of the weapons manufacturers in Australia. A lot of the traditional firearms manufacturing in Australia stopped. And I don't know if that was the result of that or not, but they did close up the gun manufacturers in Australia. But what it did cause was a massive amount of importing of firearms into the country.
Yeah.
Of different type of fast action, non-semi-automatic weapons.
Yeah.
So we got all these fast action, pump action type and lever action weapons, which came in massive amounts. So there's a lot of firearms in the country now.
Yeah.
Not
legal.
All legal.
Legal.
There's a lot of illegal stuff as well that comes through.
But the legal firearms that got imported. So it's just basically like, in a way, one of the effects was that Australia lost a manufacturing industry.
And there's still a lot of guns here.
There's still a lot of guns, so
predominantly owned by legal
responsible
people, have
a
right to have them.
Yeah, because it's interesting thinking about that we have had a lot less mass shootings and things like that, but whether it was because of, you would probably say it was partially because of banning guns in Australia like that and having the gun buyback, but maybe it's also cultural. I don't know. What would your thoughts be?
Well, you're taking sort of semi-automatic military type firearms off the street, you're taking the legal ownership of those off the street.
Yeah,
and that's I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
but
because no one needs like a machine gun to hunt.
Well,
if you're missing with
military style weapons.
Yeah.
Sporting versions of them or military style versions of them, like AK-47s and Mini 14s and that sort of thing. But then flipping to machetes, there's a lot of people using them for cutting brush and stuff like that. I mean,
I grew up in the bush. A mate of mine had a machete.
Yeah. And I've just come back from Africa.
Yeah.
And every second person in the street's carrying a machete. Kids are using them and carrying them. They were selling them. I got photographs. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
There were street vendors selling machetes on the street.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a weird way to try and solve this problem, because it's like Victoria at the moment has, or Melbourne specifically probably has, a machete problem with the amount of people who are like, I guess, using them in public areas for violent reasons. But it's like, how do you solve that problem? Do you try and take away machetes, or are they failing to just get the people who are using them? I don't know.
Well, mate, I don't know the complete answer to
ins and outs,
the complexities of it. But what's next?
Yeah.
If you're dealing with machetes,
are
you dealing with the real problem?
Yeah.
By banning the tool,
or
do you look for the causes and influences and deal with the person that's causing the problem?
Yeah.
So what's next? Do we deal with tomahawks next, or axes?
Yeah, there's so many things. It's kind of like if you were weeding a garden, but you just decided to chop it at the stem. It's going to grow back. Like, you're not pulling out the whole weed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that what you sort of?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a complex issue, but we were talking about before about why do these people behave like that in a public place where there's CCTV, thousands of witnesses, dozens and dozens and dozens of witnesses.
Yeah.
Why don't they go into some sort of more
sorted out in a parking lot or something like that?
Or a park or something.
So they obviously, you're right.
They don't care. Why don't they care?
The notoriety or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why people don't care. There is like a bit of a, maybe a lack of regard for law.
There was a number of young fellows that were failed to present themselves. They were in custody, and they needed to get them to the court to get some sort of DNA sample or something off them the other day, and they refused to get into the prison van to come to court.
Yeah.
And they have to be brought to court in order to make some sort of order upon them. I don't know all the complete details. And they apparently refused to get in the prison van wherever they were in custody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's that all about?
Are you allowed to refuse?
Well, because they're underage.
Yeah.
There's some sort of complication in putting them in the prison van and bringing them to the court.
Yeah. Or
in getting the making the order upon them and getting the sample from them at the place where they're in custody.
Yeah, it's like
there's something wrong with the system.
Yeah,
and there's something wrong with the system that allows them to
evade,
to not comply.
Yeah,
what gives them the right to not comply?
Yeah, it's weird, and also culturally, it feels like there is a lot of that, like not compliance with. Like, I don't know. I feel like the police is probably very similar to the military in the way that I see it, where it's just like, it's like an institution that really needs respect by the people, but like, and the people who like, I was talking about this with someone last night. It's like the people who decide to sign up to enlist in the military or in the police force, very brave, and it's a very important job. In saying that, it's like the level of like probably like public criticism of those institutions, therefore, is pretty high because the standard's pretty high. It's like there can't be any like bad apples within it, but it feels like there's like a lack of respect from people in general, maybe of like, of, I don't know. It just should be like something that's like, you know, it should be an instinct for people to comply with the police. There should be a trust there.
Everything's. You initially talked about sort of what's different, and I think you mentioned about. You said something about what I see different, and one thing when we look at policing, I notice a difference now.
I'm just going to reset this camera.
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah,
no, that's
right.
You were saying, when you talk about something that's different, I look at, you asked about policing, and I look at, if you ask me whether I would, somebody asked me the other day if I miss being in the police force.
Yeah.
I miss certain aspects of the police that I remember. But would I want to be in the police force today? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is it's different to when I was in it. And there's so many differences. I mean, and I understand why there are differences and why they have to be. But if I look at sort of how the police force, not just in Victoria or in Australia, but worldwide, how they, in a general sense, how they are, how they're presented. You know, they all wear flak jackets. They've got all this sort of accessories and things that they have to wear from a safety perspective, and from an occupational health and safety, they're legally bound to have to wear them. You know, in order to not only protect themselves, but in order to do their job.
Yeah.
And
was that different when?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking about it the other day. I was thinking about what we used to do. You know, when in the 70s and 80s, there was an effort when I first joined to actually encourage police on occasion to encourage us to actually take a gun out. We had little 32 automatics, which were, you might as well throw it at people. You know, they were pretty useless a lot of the time. But we never had any body armour at all. There was no Kevlar or flak jackets or no body armour at all. Nothing. There was no sprays. The battens were little rubber battens which were absolutely useless. So to arrest anybody, it was all hands on. It was all wrestling and fist fights and things like that. So there was nothing like that. And but there was a lot more interaction with the community. So you had a lot more police stations. And there was a lot more interaction with the community on the street. So you were more likely to see a police officer on the street. In the shopping centre.
That people know by name? Or,
you know them by name.
Because they're part of a community.
Especially in the country towns. In a small country town, you know, you'd have a local police officer, be one man, most of them were men. You know, be one police officer in the town. And you know, if there was a big job on where you needed more than one police officer, often, and it happened to me many times because I'd work in places where I'd be one up as a young police officer, and I'd be the only police officer working.
Yeah,
I'd have 3 or 4, maybe half a dozen civilians helping me out. Truck drivers, tow truck drivers, farmers, or whatever.
Yeah, just have some support there.
Have the support.
Yeah.
In arrests and at major accidents and all sorts of jobs.
So it was actually like a team effort with the community.
Yeah, that's right.
And you were serving the community. You were their go-to sort of person.
That's
when
right.
They needed something done.
Yeah, so that's all sort of, a lot of that's changed.
Yeah.
And it's, so when you see the police officer walk down the street, are you seeing Val or Josh or Jimmy or Jack? Or you still, they're the police officers and you're looking for them for some sort of guidance or coordination in relation, or are you seeing there's the cops?
Yeah.
But you can't put a name to them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And when you see them the next day or the next day, it'll be somebody different.
Yeah.
You still don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it that's changed. So it tends to sort of dehumanise them to some extent, which is sad.
Yeah. I remember in school we had like a school leadership meeting, and there was a police officer who came in, and they were asking us questions about how the police could be like more develop better relationships with students, because there wasn't a great relationship with things like that. And I remember he was like in the meeting and he was wearing the vest and he had the gun in the holster. Yeah. And I just brought up, I was like, when you come into schools, do you have to have the gun? Like, because immediately when someone, it's just psychological. When someone walks into a room, even if they're a police officer and you trust them, and they have a gun that's visible, my attitude completely shifts towards how I talk to that person.
I know.
Just because they've got like that, it's such a symbol of power, I suppose. And I was like, in schools, is that super necessary? And he just brought up that it's like, I understand what you're saying, but when we're on duty, when we're wearing, it's like, it's required. It'd be irresponsible not to. And it just, it was really one of those things that makes you think, because it's like, I don't know, but it's probably going to take a lot of individual effort on behalf of good people within to try and bridge that gap and build that relationship again. But I can't imagine how difficult that'd be in a city.
Because of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's where you've got that sort of that problem. Yeah. You see all this stuff on the internet and you see all this stuff on Netflix where there's sort of bullets flying in all directions.
Yeah.
On both sides. And it's sort of like,
how'd we get there?
And you don't have that sort of first name basis either. I can remember back in as you were talking, I was thinking of a particular incident where a colleague intervened in a hot situation, and the arrest was made effective by the use of a chair because he didn't have any weapons on him. Just
I've seen that in the WWE as well. just tables, ladders, and chairs.
Just threw a chair at the bloke, and that
did
fixed
the job.
him up. Yeah, did the job.
Yeah, I mean, if you know how to use it. Yeah, for sure. That's part of the training.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was part of the training. It was just sort of,
Sometimes you need guys like that think on the spot.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a different world.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a different world.
Yeah. It's sort of interesting. You end up in a situation, but it's sort of like, maybe I don't exactly know what the fix is, but hopefully it shifts back to some sort of, I hope things shift back in some sort of degree to more community basis, like where, because Melbourne to me seems like, Melbourne is a very broad term. It's a city of 5 million people, but Melbourne doesn't really describe what Melbourne is, because Melbourne is like, really, it's a collection of a lot of little cities. Because if you're living in Hawthorne, that's going to be a very different experience to if you're in the middle of Brunswick going to a gig, versus if you're in Prahran or the Peninsula or Werribee. There's so many really different communities in Melbourne. So when someone says Melbourne, it's like, well, which part? Like, I remember when I first moved down here and I got a place in Glen Iris. And I was like, wait, this is Melbourne? Like, you know what I mean? It was like such a family vibe. It was so different. So it's like, I suppose maybe within that, in just in the smaller suburbs, maybe that's where some of that community feel could come back, with people developing. I think it's really important that it's probably the biggest problem police have to, from the outside perspective, that they have to deal with is like, how do they build that relationship again with the community? Probably. What would you think? Because I know nothing. I'm just a dude chatting.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, this sort of their time is taken up with so much. Certainly, they call it paperwork, but it's not paperwork. It's process.
Yeah.
And they're bound by that process, and I don't know. There used to be an attitude which was accepted by the courts, and it was called it was gender specific. It was called the reasonable man's test.
Yeah. Where
the judges used to say, in a situation where the jury the police had acted in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it was up to the judge would leave it up to the jury to decide whether what the police officer had done was reasonable or not.
Mm.
And that was what the judge would say. It's up to you. It was called the reasonable man's test. And say, well, it's up to you to determine whether what the police officers did in these circumstances was reasonable or not, subject to what was community standard as acceptable or not, because there was nothing in the process or nothing in the procedure that covered it.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good thing, because it was subject to what was basically reasonable, as far as people were concerned. But that's been replaced over the years by a whole lot of processes and procedures and rules and regulations.
Mm.
So no one can move without having to check that what they've done was right or wrong. So there's all these forms and processes and things that they've got to do that they're just bound up in so much paperwork. Family violence and now all this, and now there's all this cyber stuff. How do you deal with that? There's so much online crime and scams and things going on. There's the amount of work that's involved in that is enormous.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the hell they deal with that. So that takes up so much time and takes so many police officers off the street from. Distracts them from interacting with the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. When I was a sergeant, I was a sergeant around Moonee Ponds and things like that. And I had young constables. We used to send them out on they used to call it crime beat, which was basically walking around the shops.
Yeah.
And they'd come back and they'd look bored.
Yeah.
And I used to say, what's wrong? And they'd say, there's nothing going on, it's boring. And I'd say, come with me, And I'd take them and I'd walk them up the street. And because they just stand around, just walk around. And I'd say, come with me, and walk up the street. And I'd just walk into the shops and start talking to people.
Yeah.
And they'd interact, and they just talk to the shopkeepers and say, how you going and what's happening, any problems, and they start telling you stuff.
Start telling you things that have been going on. And this minute
the constable's got his notebook out and he's taken all these notes about what's going on. Then I'd say, come on, let's go into the residential areas.
Yeah.
And I just knock on a door.
Yeah.
And somebody would open the door and I'd say, I'm your local sergeant, how's things going? And they'd say, next minute we'd be inside having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
They'd be telling us about the neighbours and who's doing what and whatever, and
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that stuff now. Nobody's got time to do that sort of stuff. But the amount of...
Well, it sounds like they should make the time, because that sounds like probably the most important
It was the amount of information we got about what was going on in the community, and the amount of interaction we had with the community, the people, and the feedback was fantastic.
Well, if you think about it, it makes so much sense as well, because it's like, who knows more about the community than the community.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Just knock on some random door and say, "How you going? How's things going?" Next minute, they're telling you what the neighbours are doing. And
just give me 1 sec, Val. So the camera now has run out of battery. Yeah. All right, what a shoddy little setup.
No, it's good, mate. It's good. It's all good. I think this is a great idea you've got. This chess.
No, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Honestly, the chess is just the gimmick because in reality, it's just chats.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea.
No, thank you. Yeah, we were talking just then about, I guess, like the relationships with community. But honestly, what you were saying, where it's like you just go in, and you talk to a shopkeeper, or you talk to someone in their house. It's weirdly, this is going to sound like a weird thought, but it reminds me of video games a lot.
The what, sorry?
Video games.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I would play video games growing up, you would kind of like you'd have a main quest, but you could go into a city or a town, and if you talk to all the just citizens of that town, each one will say something a little different and give you like a little extra quest of things to do. So it's like the idea of like of just like those younger police officers being a bit bored. But it's like if you just talk to someone, you're going to be pretty busy pretty soon. There's going to be a lot of things to do. Yeah,
it definitely works. I remember one place I was at in the country, and we had a homicide there, and the homicide squad came in, and they were knocking on doors to make inquiries, and they were coming up with stuff in the town which we had no idea.
Yeah,
they were finding people in the town, and getting backgrounds on various characters in the town. We had no idea were in the town.
Yeah,
and that's an indictment on us.
Yeah,
in the town, that we had people in that town
that you didn't know,
that we should have known about, that we didn't know.
Yeah,
and I've seen that in other inquiries that I've done, investigations that I've looked at.
Yeah,
that I've studied, where years later they've had sort of suspects for a particular case.
Yeah,
and then subsequently they found that there's been other suspects that were just a similar interest that they never knew about initially. Had they been knocking on a number of doors, they would have found them.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely paramount that you do that.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding too, because you meet nice people.
Yeah, they invite you in. And it develops that actual relationship.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's the thing. It's like it's weird that people have this. It's a cultural thing. There's some people just have a bad view of police. Yeah. It's really weird that they would, because the police are there to serve the community. Yeah. So it's like if you're part of the community, the police are like. It's kind of like having they're serving a purpose in the same way that like your local tradesman or your local anything or your fiery or something like that. It's like they're there for you, Well,
let's say the origins of modern policing.
Yeah,
that's where it came from in the 1830s. It was established on that, in Britain. It was established on the basis that it's Robert Peel that set it up.
Yeah,
took that concept, because it was originally policing was done by the military.
Okay, yeah, wow.
And he said this is not on, so he set up the
police force,
the what they call peelers.
Yeah,
the original police, the bobbies, they call Robert. After Robert Peel. So well, they set up the original police, which was that they be part of the community.
Yeah.
So there was citizen policing.
Yeah, wow.
To take it away from the military.
Yeah.
To make them part of the community.
That's cool.
Yeah, and sort of over the time they were originally unarmed, and over time, it's sort of gone away from that sort of closeness to the community, and out of necessity. Yeah, unfortunately, and it's become much more almost militaristically responsive.
If the police have become in a way militarily sort of influenced, then is there something that could be invented that's the new police for this age? You know what I mean?
That's
what the police used to be.
Yeah.
Community sort of representative in some sort of degree. Well, someone who just gets info.
They've got things like Neighbourhood Watch and things like that, but I can see where what you're talking about. It's a good point, where you have, there's community there's community sort of squads and groups within police. But you're talking about it's a good point.
I mean, if the police are serving a new purpose and aren't, and now there's a void for that old reason that they were there, then something's got to come to fill that space.
Yeah.
If not the police, maybe they just need to remember what they did and do it again. Because I mean, if it was in your, day and age that you were doing that anyway, that you were going and asking those questions. So it's not that long ago, It's like, it's pretty easy to make it come back. I think. I don't know. It just takes probably some people who think similar things.
It becomes. I mean, they brought in Victoria. They brought in the what do they call them? The guys on the railway stations. What's that?
Metro.
What do they call them? It's shocking. I can't think of it.
Guys on the railway station.
I have to edit that bit. It's terrible. The PSOs, Protective Service Officers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the PSOs. So they brought in that. That's a large organisation. They do a great job.
Yeah.
They do all the, the government buildings and the. So that's a large sort of uniform body of people to do a specific task and with certain powers. So what you're suggesting, I think, is probably a good idea. I know the state's broke, but you could set up another group that rather than be responsive, that actually intermingle with the community, like a community force that move amongst the community. They can respond, but they're basically there to interact with the community.
Yeah, and they can call the backup if they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
But the risk is that they would just get absorbed into the mass and just get used up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you've still got the occupational health and safety thing. So what are you going to do? Send them around two up all over the place rather than just have old blokes like me walking around knocking on doors and sort of having cups of coffee. And then you got the risk of them getting involved in mischief and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, true. They might, depending on the community, could be dangerous.
Yeah, well, you would have problems.
Yeah.
Humans are humans.
Yeah.
I can just imagine some of the problems that they have.
Yeah, James. Yeah.
Could be problematic, but
Yeah, I remember the first time I moved down to Melbourne. I think I went to St Kilda for the first time. People were like, St Kilda's pretty cool, and
when was that?
End of 2023, I moved down here.
Okay.
Anyway, and I just remember I walked down the wrong alleyway and someone was pissing against the wall. I was like, where am I? I got to move out of this alleyway. Humans are humans is the point. So you worked in, I got to ask about this because it's a very, very curious thing. You worked in missing persons.
No, I didn't actually. When I left the police force in 2013, I wanted something to do.
Okay.
To keep my brain active.
Yeah.
Because as you get older, you end up sort of, becoming like sort of a bit of a, mad colonel, and you sort of, which way do they go sort of thing. You start losing your brain cells,
Yeah.
And so I wanted to keep the mind active. So
I'm just going to, I think this is drooped over.
Well, that comes with age too. Anyway. So I decided to. I was having lunch with Belinda and I, my wife, were having lunch with a friend of mine who's in the police force.
Yeah.
And he was telling us about his little brother that went missing up at Marysville in 1974. And he was telling me that there was a big search for him. But when he was telling me about it, I realised there was no corresponding investigation into his disappearance. So it was a massive search.
But not the follow-up.
There was no investigation. And that's not unusual.
Yeah.
I've since found out. So I thought, well, that's not right. So I decided to have a look at the case. And the rest is history, because when I look at that case, I needed to understand the genre of missing adolescent boys and what leads them to
go missing
in bush environments.
Yeah.
So I studied those particular type of cases all over Australia and all over mostly the Western world. And so I looked at about 80 cases and pulled them apart as best as I could. But I studied that case intensely, and I actually investigated. I found people that were on the same trip. It was a school type trip. It wasn't a school, but it was a youth camp.
Yeah.
And I found people that were on it. I found the original coordinators of it. I spoke to original police officers that were involved in the search. You know, some of them are since subsequently died. Some I spoke to a lot of the kids that were on the same trip and visited the area, all sorts of things. But in addition to that, I spoke to people that other kids that had gone missing in bush and wilderness areas, and really studied the whole sort of genre of that sort of that type of pre-adolescent boys going missing. And then I become obsessed with missing person cases.
Yeah.
And I picked up one or two other cases that I looked at in detail. But then I sort of realised that the big issue was not so much. I realised that to look at individual cases, you can spend years on one case.
Yeah.
So I thought, what I could see was that the problem was in how the cases are looked at, rather than studying individual cases. So I started to look at the causes and influences. And so without boring you, I became, started to do research on missing person cases, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that it sort of lines up in a way with what you were doing when you were a sergeant. It's just asking questions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know, but on a deeper level for a more specific, like lined up purpose there. But you know, like that's how it sounds like from that story. It's like that's how it started. Who was involved at the time, who's still alive, who's connected, who's and then just getting information. What did the information sort of lead to? Did you find out a lot?
Well, what it basically it gets down to a fundamental thing in life. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for a missing person or you want to know how to make a cake.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's basically what you're doing here, how you set this up. It's sort of like, what am I looking? How do you play chess? It's like, what am I looking at here?
Yeah.
You know, how does it tick? If I don't know, I'll find out.
Yeah.
If I don't guess anything. I don't assume anything.
Yeah.
Because then you've got assumption bias, or what I call also is experiential bias. If I lean too much on my previous experience, whilst then I'm just plucking stuff from the past and fitting it into this one, which it might not really fit. So I've got to look at a blank canvas and start again.
Yeah.
So you've got an open mind on everything that you do, and you say, what am I looking at here? Pull it apart, layer by layer, bit by bit, until I really understand what it's all about. So it doesn't matter what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And that's basically the fundamentals of it all. Yeah. And that's what I did with that little boy's case.
Yeah.
So to understand his case, I needed to understand
a lot of cases,
I need to understand what makes a 9-year-old boy tick.
Yeah.
How does the bush work? What's out there? What can bite him?
Yeah.
What's the weather doing at the time? Was it cold? Was it hot?
Yeah.
What's the river doing at the time? How deep was it? Can he drown in that? What does hypothermia look like? There's all sorts of other things that I learned all about, really, all the physiology and the psychology and all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
Pedophiles, was a human intervention a possibility, or was it natural misadventure? All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
So,
It's so interesting. This isn't to gas you up too much, but in terms of like, I don't know, like, got a lot of talking to old people or older people, right? And it's like I think about my dad, and I think about my uncle and some people in my family. It's like they've always got a story behind them, but a lot of them are really set in the way of thinking. So instead of like being curious, they're more like, I'm going to tell you how it is. But it's been very interesting talking to you because you're I would say quite reserved in your judgment on things until you know all of the pieces of it, and that sort of explains that there with what you were saying, where it's like your job and what you've done in your life is like looking at things from like, how does a 9-year-old tick, getting into the perspective of to actually understand a thing, if that makes sense. So I don't know, it's a very intriguing perspective that you have, because you know what I mean, where it's,
I don't know what you mean.
No, but
I don't know what. I do. I'm playing games with you.
yeah.
I'm sort of agreeing with you by being a smart ass.
Yeah.
I don't know what Josh thinks.
Yeah, but
I do know what you mean.
But yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Well, it's like that. I guess the premise. Yeah, let's unpack this. Let's look at all the layers. I guess I'm saying. That old people sometimes are very much like, this is how it is, and to me, you have a very open mind in terms of like to understand a thing fully. And I'm sure that you've got like probably perspectives on like, this is how it is, but instead of being like, this is the problem, it's more like, these are the questions that have come up from looking at all of the facts, if that makes sense. It's like there's more questions than answers.
Everything's a maybe. I understand. Well, I mean, there's some things that are definitive.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's how it works. It's sort of like there's a few things that I'm working on where you sort of say, okay, well, there's some strong evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I grab it? Not necessarily, because then you sort of you sort of have a hypothesis as to, or that you think that something's as to what's happened here, and then you see something that fits it.
Yeah.
And you say, great, I'll grab that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you run the risk of cherry picking, because what you do, you pop that in there and you say, that's great. No, you don't, because what you do is you put that in there and you say, well, what I need now is definitive proof to corroborate that.
Yeah.
Maybe 1, 2, 3 other pieces of corroboration.
Yeah.
To substantiate that piece. What you need to find is evidence to disprove it.
Yeah. So scientific, very much.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because that's, in another sense, that's like a great way to play chess. I'm just going to fix this again. It's fallen down as we've been speaking. And I've just got to tighten it. And now but so in chess, I used to teach chess as a job. And one of the sort of, I guess, important lessons of chess is sometimes people will think they're pretty good at it and they'll have a game plan on how they're going to get you in checkmate. And they'll start playing moves being like, if they move like this, then I've got them. And they play what you call hope chess, where it's like you play moves hoping that your opponent makes the wrong moves. And it's the wrong way to play chess. Because if you play moves hoping that your opponent makes the wrong moves, you're not thinking about how they're playing to win as well. You've got to play 2 games of chess when you're playing chess really seriously. You've got to play your game and you've got to think about what their best move would be in response. And you've got to assume that they're going to make the best move. And if they don't, that's awesome. Then you get to beat them. But you've got to assume that they're going to play the best response to that thing. So it's a really interesting game in the way that if you want to play it well, it forces you to put yourself in your opponent's shoes to understand what their line would be. And that's what that reminded me of just then, of just like, you've got a piece of evidence, leans towards this way, that's good, but if you don't back it up, you're kind of just hoping that it's true.
Yeah, because you can back. There's and I've said this a number of times, and there was a back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
There was a number of questions that were put out to the heads of a number of police forces across the world, and it was basically what makes a good detective. And the one I remember out of all of the responses was the head of a fellow called Walling, his name was, and he was the chief of detectives in New York at the time. And his response was different to a lot of the others. Yeah, the others were all sort of, all these sort of bits and pieces about what makes a good detective. They can do this and they can do that. But he sort of said something along the lines of, I kind of like the quiet fellow that comes up with a theory and then doubts it and tries to break it down. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that if he can't break it, prove himself wrong, he's generally get it right. And when he gets to court, the defence will have a devil's job trying to disprove it.
Yeah, because he's already done all the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guy that comes up with a theory and goes hell-bent to leather to prove it's right, goes into court, and the defence will have all the answers to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
And generally prove him wrong.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite ironic in that sense. Yeah.
So, you've really got to, I come across, with the missing persons, come across a lot of, I have a case and I'll talk about it to one of my mates or something, and I'll say, oh, look, he's probably had a heart attack or something, about somebody who's missing in the bush or whatever. And I'll say, why do you say that? And I'll say, oh, well, because he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And I say, well, where's your evidence? And I say, well, because he's in his 50s. And I say, well, show me the evidence that he's got a bad heart.
Yeah, that he's had a history of this sort of problem happening. That what's his diet? How
and
tall
I say,
is
well,
it? Yeah.
What's his heart like? And I say, well, it was at one particular case. And I say, well, the guy just spent $650 having a full medical to walk the Kokoda Trail. And that was only 6 weeks or so before he disappeared. Yeah. And prior to that, he hiked up to the Everest Base Camp.
Okay.
And he's hiked up through British Columbia.
Sounds a fit bloke, yeah.
He's super fit.
Yeah.
And, so the evidence is not suggesting that he was a candidate for a heart attack.
Yep.
So when we're talking about probability, is it possible that he had a heart attack?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But probability is very low.
Yeah. Yeah, but because your mate, you say he's a 50-year-old bloke, your mate has a picture of a 50-year-old bloke in his head walking a trail. I wouldn't walk a trail like that. Boom, a heart attack. Why not?
Well, then we look at the trail. I mean, when you look at the trail, you would look at the trail and you would
might have a heart attack.
Well, no, you wouldn't.
No, okay.
You wouldn't.
It's an easy trail.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's
cool.
easier than walking, as easy as walking through the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
definitely not Everest Base Camp.
No.
Yeah.
So, but when you go in with an attitude of saying probable based on without thinking,
just having a guess.
What are we looking at here? Yeah. Then you're already starting to influence your thinking with assumptions.
Yeah, and this is the bias that you were talking. What was the word?
It's assumption bias.
Yeah.
Or experiential bias.
Yeah.
Experiential bias is maybe that you looked at other cases where they have had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So you just assume that this particular case, this one will have had a heart attack.
Also, people love to be right. So when they make a guess, even if they don't really know, they're probably going to put in effort to try and back it up.
That's right.
Because no one likes to be wrong. Because it feels stupid. I like to be right. This year I predicted genuinely a few weeks out from the finals that my team, the Brisbane Broncos, would win the grand final, and they did. And I felt very good about that. But it was a guess, based on what I'd seen. It felt very good to be right on that one because it was my team. But yeah, often when I'm sort of finishing up the pod, I like to ask a question of like I feel like I want to make it two sides, but what do you think is the biggest problem that we're currently facing in Australia, maybe at the moment, in terms of like that needs our attention, or maybe doesn't get brought up a lot, or something that you just sort of think, and then I'll ask a positive question after that to balance it. But and it's all good if you don't have a sort of one answer or whatever. I'm just curious.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect and understanding.
Mm. Wow. That's a pretty cool answer. So do you want to, what do you mean?
I think the biggest problem we have is respecting each other and understanding, taking time out to really understand everything, understanding the causes and influences of everything that we're looking at, and just cut out all these knee-jerk reactions to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And take a big glass of shut the up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. I definitely think a lot of people, and it's probably influenced by, a friend of mine always says it's like we're 10 years into the social media experiment. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
And it's like a lot of people react very emotionally to things that they see, and they might have just seen a very specific clip that shows a very specific part that is designed to make you feel a certain way.
Absolutely. A lot of things are taken out, absolutely shown, and therefore taken out of context.
Yeah. Yeah. Respect and understanding. That's a boss answer. That's a good answer. Yeah.
What was the second question?
Well, the second question that I'm going to ask is, what do you think is the thing that we're getting right? What is the probably most positive thing that you think that is happening in the world at the moment, or something that you think would be cool to highlight, I guess?
I think there's a healthy questioning and caution in relation to the introduction, I would say, introduction of AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a wariness out there towards AI.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a strong push in relation to AI, and
yeah,
it's upon us, but there's starting to be a caution towards it. I think that's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, because it'll help us to hopefully have it be useful rather than negative. Yeah, it's a powerful thing.
Very powerful thing.
It's crazy. Can you believe it? You know what I mean? Where it's like, I didn't think I'd see something like AI. It's a computer that seemingly thinks it can just give you answers to things so quickly. When you look at the technology you've seen, is it just what the, you know what I mean?
It's pretty scary, really. Yeah. I can see its benefits.
Yeah.
Where it helps in a lot of ways, but the key problem is it's in its definition. It's artificial.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Oh yeah, true. Okay. So it's fake.
So as humans, from where we started from originally,
and
I'm not sort of saying, everything. I'm not being negative towards everything, but when we look at sort of where we've come a long way from, natural selection and everything is in everything with animals and plants and everything. We've got, from an organic beginning as creatures, we've gone in plants and everything. We've gone through a period now of artificial insemination of everything we eat, our pets, our livestock, ourselves, and now we're recreating our brains.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we're going to make ourselves redundant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In a weird sense, I sort of see technology as, if we do it right, it's kind of like human. It's our child. The human species has created technology, and that's its great achievement, but could also be its downfall in some way. So that's the teetering point. But it's like sort of like when you have a kid, in some sense, you want that kid to be probably better than you were in your life, and to learn from things you learn from. And it's like we're trying to, in a way, recreate ourselves, like you said, but it's artificial. I think the biggest thing is, like, I hope that people understand that there is something a bit innate or special about being human, and there's a soul, and that shouldn't be discounted. But if we do the right thing with technology, I don't know. Yeah, it is still a tool. I think people have to remember that.
I'll just look at. I'm cherry picking now, which I shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And I sort of look at things like, we're both into music. I love music, and you're a great practitioner of music. Oh, and so you got a lovely dobro over there. Yeah. But when we look at sort of, I go off on tangents now and then. I'm thinking of Woody Guthrie and got those guys back then, and that's all that sort of Dust Bowl music.
Yeah, Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and all that sort of, and the great heartland of America, where a lot of that music came from. And the Dust Bowl itself was created because man couldn't wait to fiddle around with those great grasslands there, and those and plough up all those naturals, the grasslands that were there, and plant them down with their unnatural seeds.
Yeah.
And when the rains didn't come,
boom. Yeah.
It just
desert. Yeah.
It turned into a desert. Whereas the original grasses there would have survived.
Yeah.
And we've done that. We've got. That's just went off on a tangent there.
No, but it's hubris. Yeah, I get what you mean.
And now we've got all these organic grains and things that we're growing, and because we have to feed so many people and animals and things like that, and yet from what I see and read, and that the societies and cultures where they live organically, there's less or virtually no cancers.
Yeah.
And yet we seem to have all these problems now.
Yeah.
So in all this sort of smart sort of way we survive now through this artificial fiddling around with our bodies.
Yeah.
And now are we sort of destined to destroy the human race? And now not only are we fiddling around with our bodies, but now we're fiddling around with the brain.
Yeah.
Through artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
What's the point? You know.
I think to some degree, like, because I very much see what you're saying, and now I'm tempted to make a counterpoint a little, just in terms of like, yeah, it's good that we're moving back to like organic, and I definitely agree in terms of like a lot of the stuff that's causing cancers and things like that. Like, there's a lot of unnatural shit that's bad for us, but then also like, potentially it's because we're living so long now. You know, life expectancy has been expanded so much because of medical progress and just like the amount of stuff that technology has actually like given us, I suppose, in a lot of ways, is pretty ridiculous. Like, even just thinking about like that no one dies of like smallpox anymore or things like that.
Yeah, that's a point.
So in that way, it's like it's kind of both.
Yeah,
because it's like it's both giving us a lot and taking away a lot. Like because we are so far removed from when you used to grow, like you used to have a cow in your backyard and it had a name and you fed it for 2 years or something, and one winter you goodbye heifer, and suddenly you feed your family for that year with that cow or whatever, and you know how to do the whole process and things. We're very, very far away from that style of living, and we're very far removed from that actual organic connection to the thing we're even eating and doing. So I think that's a big problem. But in the same way, we got 8 billion people. It's like
that's a problem. I think I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying actually. So, but I think you're right. I think the 8 billion people is the problem.
Yeah. But then we get back to actually your point, which is it's a healthy questioning of AI. I think it's good that a healthy questioning of technology, and with that skepticism, hopefully you are able to weed out a lot of the potential downfalls of it, just because it's such a powerful one. It's like how we haven't had another world war since World War II. Probably one of the major reasons for that would just be the fact that nukes exist. It's the fact that we'd all mutually assured destruction or whatever. That's like, people have talked about that before, but it's like the fact that it would end everything means that we can't do another world war. There's been wars. There's lots of, there's still lots of violence in the human race, but everyone has a healthy respect, I would say.
There's some suggestion World War III is already happening.
Yeah, I heard that, but it's fought in a different way.
Yeah. There's all cyber and drones and interruptions with. Well,
it's fought on a different playing field as well. It's probably in the brain. It's probably in your attention span and in a lot of those ways. Because I mean, there was even an argument that I suppose like COVID, in terms of, it'll be very interesting to see how that's viewed in 10 years' time and in the history books and stuff. But the fact that it came from a lab in China and things like that, and just like the idea of biological weapons, even if it wasn't being produced for that reason, like you wouldn't make an assumption, but it's like just the idea that when you can't have an all-out war where people are shooting each other and there's nukes involved, how do you gain an advantage in a military way?
Yeah, undermine something.
It's very it's very secret. It's like it's informational. It's messing with elections, maybe. It's all that. So yeah, I guess it's I asked this question actually recently, just because the amount of protests you see and the amount of like how intense they are and how polarized things feel, and it's even more so in the US and less in Australia, but it's still in Melbourne a lot. And I asked a friend, I was like, are we in a war right now? Because if we are, then a lot of my perspectives probably need to shift a little bit, because it's like peacetime versus wartime and how you think about things probably changes. Because I like to think of things in a very peaceful way, and I don't believe that. I believe you got to hear all people out, and you got to try and be kind to everyone and try and listen first. But if you were in a war, that's not very helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's trying to understand where we're even at, and I don't know. So I'm just trying to do my best, I suppose, and that's the same with a lot of people. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird time, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's you just want it to settle down a bit,
100%.
Yeah, just sort of settle down.
Yeah.
And everybody should, as I said, shut the up. Get some relaxation. Get out into, go and, hug a tree or something,
It's not bad, yeah. Go to the hot springs.
Go to the hot springs. Where's the nearest hot springs to here?
I don't know. Probably
Yellowstone. New Zealand.
Yeah. No, they've got the peninsula hot springs.
Oh, okay.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
Or just have a bath even.
Yeah, that's right.
If you can't get to a hot spring, have a bath or a shower. There's always, even if you're at whatever stage, you can always like take a deep breath and like you said, shut the
Just chill out.
Chill out.
Yeah.
God, that's a good message to end it on. I think we might leave it there.
Yeah, leave it at that, mate.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being on.
No worries, Josh. Genuinely. It's been fantastic, mate. Good on you, mate. Cheers, mate.
Good win, you guys.